before 2026 begins, pause for a moment, not to panic, not a regret, but to reflect, because transformation doesn't begin on January 1st. It begins the moment you decide you are worthy of more. If you want the next year to look different, you must do something different now. Here are 9 life-shifting things you must do before 2026 starts. Clarity is not just knowing what you want. It is knowing what you will no longer tolerate. Most people do not fail because they lack talent, luck, or opportunity. They fail because their lives are crowded with confusion. Confusion about who they are, confusion about what matters, and confusion about where they are going. And when your mind is unclear, your energy is scattered. And when your energy is scattered, your power is weakened. Clarity gives direction to your effort. It turns noise into focus, pressure into purpose, and dreams into decisions. The moment you get clear, life begins to respond differently. You stop reacting to everything around you, and you start choosing what deserves your attention. That is power. Before 2026 begins, you must sit with yourself and ask honest questions, not comfortable ones. What do I really want from my life? Not what looks impressive, not what people expect, but what feels true to my soul. What kind of person do I want to become, and what kind of person am I tired of being? These questions are not meant to be rushed. They are meant to be respected. Clarity also requires courage, because when you become clear, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer blame circumstances, timing, or other people. Once you know what matters, every distraction becomes obvious, and every delay becomes a choice. That level of honesty can feel uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly freeing. Many people confuse clarity with certainty, but clarity does not mean you have every answer. It means you know your direction, even if the path is still unfolding. You may not know how everything will work out, but you know what aligns with you and what does not. You know what adds value to your life and what quietly drains it. When you have clarity, you stop saying yes to things that cost you your peace. You stop chasing goals that don't excite you. You stop living on autopilot. Instead, you begin to live intentionally. Your time becomes more valuable, your energy becomes more protected, and your decisions become more powerful. Clarity also changes the way you see failure. When you know your why, setbacks no longer break you, they guide you. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift alone can change everything. Another powerful part of clarity is boundaries. When you are clear about who you are and where you are going, you naturally set limits. Not out of anger, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. You understand that everything you allow into your life is shaping your future. So you become more intentional about your environment, your relationships, and your habits. Clarity does not come from outside noise. It comes from quiet reflection. It comes from moments when you choose to listen to your inner voice instead of the world's opinions. The world will always tell you who to be, but clarity comes when you decide for yourself. Before 2026 starts, give yourself the gift of clarity. Write down what matters, release what doesn't, and commit to living in alignment with your truth. Because when your mind is clear, your heart is focused, and your actions are aligned, you don't just feel powerful, you become powerful. And once you have clarity, nothing can stop you, because you are no longer walking in circles, you are walking with purpose. Growth does not always begin with adding more to your life. Sometimes it begins with letting go. Many people believe that success is about accumulation, more goals, more achievements, more approval, more possessions. But real transformation often starts in the opposite direction. It starts when you release what is heavy, what is outdated, and what no longer serves the person you are becoming. Before 2026 begins, you must understand this truth. You cannot rise while carrying unnecessary weight. Emotional baggage, old grudges, past failures, self-doubt, and outdated identities all act like invisible chains. They keep you tied to a version of yourself that has already done its job. Holding on does not make you loyal, it makes you tired. Releasing is not weakness, it is wisdom. It takes strength to say, this no longer belongs in my life. It takes courage to walk away from habits that feel familiar but are quietly harming you. It takes maturity to stop revisiting pain just because it feels known. Letting go is not about forgetting. It is about freeing yourself from the emotional cost of carrying the past into the future. One of the hardest things to release is the need for validation. Many people live their lives performing for approval, adjusting themselves to be liked, accepted, or understood. But when you depend on external validation, you give away your power. Your worth becomes negotiable, your confidence becomes fragile, and your direction becomes unclear. Releasing the need to be approved by everyone is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can make. You must also release old stories you keep telling yourself. Stories like, I am not good enough, I always fail, people like me don't succeed, or it's too late for me. These narratives may have been formed in moments of pain, but they do not deserve a permanent place in your life. The story you tell yourself shapes the choices you make, and the choices you make shape the life you live. Releasing also means forgiving, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Holding on to resentment keeps you emotionally connected to what hurt you. Forgiveness breaks that connection. It allows you to reclaim your energy and redirect it toward growth instead of pain. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it absolutely changes the future. Another important release is the attachment to outcomes you cannot control. You can do everything right and still face rejection, delay, or disappointment. When you cling too tightly to specific results, you create suffering. When you release control and focus on effort, integrity, and growth, you create resilience. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to lose yourself. As you release, you create space. Space for new habits, new opportunities, new relationships, and new perspectives. Nature teaches us this lesson clearly. Trees shed old leaves to make room for new growth. You are no different. What you release today creates the room you need to rise tomorrow. Before 2026 starts, take inventory of what you are holding on to. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it keeping me stuck? Is this aligned with who I am becoming or who I used to be? Be honest with your answers, because honesty is the doorway to freedom. When you release with intention, you rise with strength. You move forward lighter, clearer, and more powerful. Let go not because you failed, but because you are ready for more. Your life is not changed by one dramatic moment. It is shaped by the small choices you make every single day. People often wait for a breakthrough, a sign, or a perfect opportunity, but destiny is rarely created in big, loud events. It is built quietly through daily decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, yet powerful over time. Before 2026 begins, you must understand this. Your habits are voting for the kind of future you will live in. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you cast a vote for growth. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you cast a vote for delay. These votes may feel small, but when repeated daily, they become your destiny. Most people overestimate what they can change in a day and underestimate what they can change in a year. They try to do everything at once, then get overwhelmed and quit. Real transformation comes from consistency, not intensity. It is better to take small, aligned actions every day than to take massive action once and disappear. Your mornings matter more than you realize. The way you start your day sets the tone for your thinking, your energy, and your decisions. If you begin your day in chaos, rushing, and negativity, you carry that energy forward. But if you begin with intention, even for a few minutes, reflection, gratitude, movement, or learning, you create momentum that carries you through the day. Daily choices also include what you consume, not just food, but information, conversations, and content. What you listen to, watch, and engage with is shaping your mindset, whether you are aware of it or not. If you constantly feed your mind with fear, drama, and comparison, you weaken your confidence. If you feed it with growth, wisdom, and purpose, you strengthen your resilience. Another powerful daily choice is how you respond to challenges. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. Choosing patience over anger, learning over blame, and responsibility over excuses builds emotional strength. These responses, practiced daily, become your character. Your self-talk is also a daily choice. The words you repeat in your mind shape how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. If you constantly criticize yourself, you create internal resistance. If you encourage yourself, even when you fall short, you create inner support. Speak to yourself like someone you want to become. Daily discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being committed. Some days you will feel motivated, other days you won't. Discipline carries you on the days motivation disappears. Showing up consistently, even when it feels boring or difficult, is what separates a growth from stagnation. Before 2026 starts, choose one small habit that aligns with your future self. Just one. Read 10 minutes a day, move your body, write your thoughts, practice gratitude, or learn a new skill. Protect this habit like it matters, because it does over time. This small commitment will change how you see yourself, and when your self-image changes, your life follows. Remember, destiny is not something you find, it is something you build. And you build it one day at a time, one choice at a time, one habit at a time. Make your daily choices count, because your future is quietly listening to what you do today. Self-belief is not something you either have or you don't. It is something you practice daily. Many people wait to feel confident before they act, but confidence is not the starting point, action is. You build belief in yourself the same way you build a muscle, through repetition, effort, and patience. Before 2026 begins, you must stop seeing self-belief as a personality trait and start seeing it as a daily responsibility. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-trust grows. Every time you break that promise, even in small ways, doubt begins to form. Self-belief is not built in grand moments. It is built in private ones. One of the biggest enemies of self-belief is comparison. When you constantly measure your journey against someone else's timeline, you forget your own progress. You start to believe you are behind, not because you truly are, but because you are looking in the wrong direction. Comparison steals focus, and focus is essential for growth. The only comparison that matters is who you are today versus who you were yesterday. Self-belief also requires you to stop waiting for external validation. Applause feels good, praise feels encouraging, but they are unreliable sources of confidence. When your belief depends on others' approval, it rises and falls with their opinions. True self-belief is quiet, steady, and internal. It comes from knowing you can trust yourself to show up even when no one is watching. Another important practice is learning to separate mistakes from identity. Failing at something does not mean you are a failure. Struggling does not mean you are weak. These are experiences, not definitions. When you attach your worth to outcomes, every setback feels personal. But when you see challenges as part of growth, your belief remains intact. Self-belief grows when you take responsibility for your life. Blame weakens belief, ownership strengthens it. When you say, this is my life and I am responsible for how I respond, you reclaim your power. You may not control every circumstance, but you always control your effort, your attitude, and your direction. Your inner dialogue plays a major role in this practice. The way you speak to yourself becomes the way you treat yourself. If your inner voice is harsh, impatient, and discouraging, self-belief cannot survive. Replace criticism with correction. Instead of saying, I always mess up, say, I am learning and improving. Language shapes belief. Self-belief is also strengthened through preparation. Confidence does not come from wishing things will work out. It comes from knowing you have done the work. When you prepare, practice, and improve your skills, you naturally trust yourself more. Preparation turns fear into readiness. Before 2026 starts, commit to practicing self-belief daily. Start small. Do what you say you will do. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Speak to yourself with respect. Take action even when doubt is present. Belief will follow behavior. Remember, self-belief is not loud, it is consistent. It is built quietly through daily choices that say, I trust myself, I respect myself, and I am capable of becoming more. Practice it long enough, and it will change everything. Hope is beautiful, but hope without preparation is powerless. Many people hope for a better year, a better life, and better opportunities, yet they stay in the same place because they are waiting instead of preparing. Hope wishes, preparation works. If you truly want 2026 to be different, you must stop waiting for change and start getting ready for it. Preparation is a mindset. It is the decision to act before conditions feel perfect. It is choosing discipline over delay, a learning over comfort, and responsibility over excuses. Prepared people do not rely on luck, they create readiness. When opportunity arrives, it does not ask if you feel confident, it asks if you are ready. Before 2026 begins, you must prepare mentally. Your mind must be trained to handle pressure, uncertainty, and growth. A strong mindset does not mean you never feel fear. It means you don't let fear control your actions. Mental preparation includes learning to manage your emotions, practicing patience, and developing resilience. When challenges come, and they will, preparation keeps you steady instead of shaken. Preparation also means building skills. The future rewards those who are willing to learn. Skills increase your value, confidence, and options. Instead of hoping someone notices your potential, develop abilities that speak for you. Read, study, practice, and improve. Even 30 minutes a day done consistently can change your position in a year. Another important part of preparation is planning. Vague goals lead to vague results. You don't need a perfect plan, but you do need direction. Know what you are working toward, why it matters, and what the next small step is. Planning turns dreams into actionable steps and reduces anxiety because clarity replaces uncertainty. Preparation also requires you to manage your time intentionally. Time is your most valuable resource, yet it is often spent carelessly. Prepared people protect their time. They limit distractions, set boundaries, and prioritize what moves them forward. Every hour invested wisely compounds into progress. Financial preparation is another area many people ignore. Hoping money problems disappear does not work. Learning how to manage, save, and invest what you have, no matter how small, creates stability and confidence. Preparation brings peace because you know you are taking responsibility for your future. You must also prepare emotionally. This means accepting that growth will be uncomfortable. Preparation is understanding that not everyone will support your change, and some people will misunderstand your focus. Being emotionally prepared allows you to stay committed without needing constant reassurance. Before 2026 starts, ask yourself, what kind of person does my future require me to be? Then start becoming that person now, or don't wait for permission, motivation, or perfect timing. Prepare in silence, improve quietly, and let your progress speak. Hope says, maybe one day. Preparation says, I'm getting ready now. And when opportunity finally knocks, hope will be watching, but preparation will be answering. As 2026 approaches, remember this: nothing changes just because the calendar does. Time alone does not transform lives, decisions do. The difference between repeating the same year and stepping into a new chapter is not luck, it is intention. Clarity gives you direction. Releasing the past gives you freedom. Daily choices quietly build your future. Self-belief grows through practice. Preparation turns potential into power. Together, these are not just ideas, they are instructions for transformation. You don't need to be perfect before the new year begins. You only need to be honest, commit, and willing to grow. Change does not require a dramatic moment. It requires consistent action. Small steps taken daily will always outperform big promises made once. As you move toward 2026, choose courage over comfort. Choose discipline over delay. Choose growth even when it feels uncomfortable. Let this be the year you stop waiting and start becoming. Walk into the new year clear, lighter, and stronger. Not hoping life will change, but knowing you are changing. And when you change, everything around you begins to change too. This is not just a new year ahead. This is a new standard